we're now beyond 2 hours since this happened, and so the most critical thing here is if, in fact, there are any people either trapped in their vehicles or perhaps between the now pancaked pedestrian bridge and Southwest 8th Street who could be trapped but still alive under rubble. We have not yet received an update on the status of that. Remember, they had sound audio listening devices trying to discern, like after an earthquake, whether you could hear any sounds, any screams, any mutterings, any whimperings. We don't have an update yet on whether they have, in fact, fully explored all of those options. Multiple people have been taken to local hospitals, one in cardiac arrest. The public information officer for the officials on scene here that are assembling where we are right now, within a few minutes, we're expecting the very first media statement on camera press conference by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, as well as the law enforcement authorities here, right here on the fringe of the north side of the Florida International University campus. As you mentioned, Shep, it's a major engine for this part of the county. And this is a major thoroughfare that was open to traffic ever since Saturday when they put the bridge up over the 8 lanes spanning it. So whether the lights were red or whether the lights were green, the bottom line is traffic has been flowing here for days. And even though the bridge wasn't going to be open to students and other pedestrians to walk across Southwest 8th Street until next week, if a bridge is going to collapse over an open roadway, there is a very good chance there will be cars trapped underneath it, just by the bad lack of timing in that respect. So the roadway remains closed off. Traffic all around this area for miles and miles. It's, of course, rush hour, a notoriously atrocious rush hour of Miami. And this is going to be multiple days of detours for the locals, but most importantly right now, are there any more survivors? Indeed. Are there people still needing rescue? A lot of crews have arrived on scene, and they are trying to get at that right now. We should have some up-to-date information here in a few minutes.
I think we will, because we've been watching on REM 254. This is a live picture here. The local television stations and the rest are setting up for, you see the zooming into focus. They're about to have a news conference. We expect to get new information then. But I want to show you some video that we've just gotten in through Storyful. And this is in the very moments just after this happened. Watch and listen.
Walk over, fallen people. There's 2 cars under there. May God bless everyone. Oh my goodness. I'm shaking. I can't even. This is crazy.
You can see that the people who were running toward that bridge in the very moments after, the sirens blaring in the background, and these were among the people who saw this collapse. You can see the cars right there in front. And if we go back to a live picture, and we will right after this is over, to a live picture on scene, you can see some of those vehicles have been moved out of the way. And it's my hope, and it's just a hope, I'm going to hope along with you, that our witness to this was just wrong about there being vehicles in every lane. You know, the bridge itself was over 4 lanes where there was a traffic light that would have stopped traffic. But the other 4 lanes going in the other direction, that traffic would have been stopped on the other side of the intersection. So I'm just hopeful that there aren't cars in all 8 of those lanes, because if so, what a horrible situation there in South Florida. Again, a news conference is about to begin, 8 minutes past 4 o'clock in South Florida. And I think, Phil, that they'll tell us what they can. But we watched as Rosh Lowe reported on the bringing in of this heavy equipment, whether they've been able to lift any of it up and get to anyone. I really don't know. Do you?
Yeah. I can't tell. We really can't. We can see the bridge. We can see the partially collapsed half. All of these emergency responder trucks and cars are blocking the view of the pancakes part of the pedestrian bridge, which is now on the north 4 lanes, the north side of Southwest 8th Street. So that's all westbound traffic. You have 3 construction cranes that were here as it happened. They've been here for days and weeks as this is all being constructed, ready for open next week. So the cranes weren't brought, those cranes you see were already here when the bridge collapsed. They have been trying to get in more heavy equipment. I have not seen any arrive, but we should know a lot more here, we hope, in the next couple of minutes.
I think we will, Phil, and I want to show our viewers where this is. This is Southwest 8th Street. This is the Tamiami Trail, Highway 41. If you were to keep going west on that, you'd end up way on the other side of the state in the Fort Myers area. It goes all the way over and then up. This is 109th Avenue, and this is where the bridge is. And the reason I'm showing you this is because some of these cars, you see that even in this still picture that we have here from Google, some of those cars are waiting at that light. Here's the pedestrian crossing, here's the pedestrian bridge over it, and the other traffic would have been coming in this direction. So it's our hope that there aren't vehicles under the entire span of that. But all of this area, of course, now is very much gridlock around that part of western Miami-Dade County. Over here you can see some of the early videos of them treating people on the scene. You can see some minor injuries and then authorities going up to try to listen to see if there is anyone alive in any of these vehicles which are underneath. This is a live picture that was coming to us just a moment ago from scene. This is a streaming video, but then from room 254, the setup of that news conference is still underway, which we'd been watching just a couple of minutes ago. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue plus Miami-Dade Police are expected to be there to give us an update in just a moment. WSVN's coverage is continuing. They've blown out afternoon programming as this is yet another unbelievable event to take place in South Florida. Just up the Florida Turnpike, which this is very near, just up the Florida Turnpike in Broward County, Parkland is where that horrible school shooting happened a month and a day ago. 1 month and 1 day ago it was, and that just, you can imagine what that does to a community with 17 people murdered there, so many of them children. A very difficult time now for people in South Florida. And now this, and so much uncertainty at this moment. We do not know how many people have been injured, may be trapped under that bridge, or may have lost their lives today. The authorities have said simply that there are multiple injuries and multiple fatalities. And beyond that, if they have an understanding of who has perished and who's been injured, they're not passing it along just yet to us. I can tell you this, relatives of those who believe they may have relatives underneath there have gathered in a classroom at Florida International University and are meeting with chaplains, which it's just impossible to imagine on a sunny Thursday afternoon in March in South Florida. Everything about your life is normal, and 1 second later, a bridge has collapsed on a loved one and the car is under there. It's my understanding they've been able to see some license plates, but that some of these vehicles are crushed in a way that you might imagine. Just unthinkable tragedy. I was just given a 2-minute warning, and frankly, I don't know to what. We have to take a quick commercial break. We know that there is a news conference that's coming, and we're led to believe it's more than a couple of minutes away. So we're going to take a very quick commercial break. We're expecting Your World with Cavuto to come along at some point once we find out from this news conference exactly what's happened here and whether they're going to be able to get the heavy lifting equipment in. And in fact, from the wider shot that we're getting up in the wall, from this picture you can see they have been able to get some equipment in there. Lots of people in a wait-and-see mode. So let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the police news conference and fire rescue news conference right after this.